Hearing chickens quoting scripture, but I didn't hear
That
that.
wouldn't surprise me, you know.
Yeah, Pat Robertson, his chickens probably quote scripture.
Yeah, I bet they do.
He probably
They lay golden eggs too, you know.
They do. And probably cackle a Bible verse over that golden egg. As they lay.
Right.
Yeah.
Give me more.
Here we go. The first
All right,
pot.
some tea. That's pretty quick too. We'll have tea quickly.
Oh, I spilled water on the tablecloth.
You know, should get you an electric teapot. They make electric teapots. That's a real nice addition. That you don't, is that electric? That's just a hot plate with that.
Uh-huh.
But they make electric teapots, and I got one. I don't use much water, and they're real handy. They just,
You know, I do these about as, I figure I could just plug in so much stuff. I mean, how much stuff do we want plugged in here?
right. I think you've probably got as much plugged in as you can plug in.
Okay. We'll be coming on with some big red road here. Once I figure it out, here's the box. I've shown you this before, I take it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So.
Yeah, I want to visit the tea lady.
Uh-huh. Well, let me see. If I'm not mistaken, you and I have mentioned in the past that you have knowledge of post-traumatic stress disorder. Is this true?
I have first-hand knowledge.
Uh-huh. Would you care to discuss that at all, or would you prefer not to?
Well, I don't know. You'll have to ask questions. I don't know if I can propound
Well,
at a monologue on PTSD.
well, I was wondering what did you? Were you in Vietnam? Is that where it
Right,
came
I was
from?
in Vietnam.
Uh-huh. And you came back with post-traumatic stress disorder from the stress of battle in Vietnam. Is that what
I
happened?
would say that's probably an accurate statement. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Plus, I was a paramedic for 25 years in Madison County, which didn't help.
Right, I know. I'm going to tell you something. I don't see how they do it. Do you? I mean, well,
Right.
you did it. I don't see how paramedics and
Well, I wouldn't want to do it up here, but in Madison County it was different. You know, that was my home, and I was in downtown Marshall where I'd been raised all my life. So
and it was your friends and neighbors.
it was my friends and neighbors.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In the beginning, it was my friends and neighbors' parents, grandparents,
Right.
and then it was their parents, and then it
And now
was
it's
them.
them.
Now it's us.
It's us. It is.
Yeah,
us.
but
Mhm.
yeah, well, post-traumatic stress is I don't know how. The only thing that I've heard from my therapist at the VA that they felt had been able to break that, whatever it is, that connection
Right.
between Vietnam and the person was the Navajo, where they had, after a year or so that this guy was having a great deal of trouble, they had a traditional Navajo ceremony where they basically absolved him of what he had done. You know, and he had a cultural connection to be able to do that, but we don't have that.
Was that he had come back from Vietnam?
He had come back from Vietnam, and they have a traditional warriors ceremony.
And we don't have that. Yeah.
But we don't have it. And a traditional
Right.
that forgives them everything that they do.
Well, you know what we have is we have priests and what have you, which do their mumbo jumbo or whatever and resolve you in the name of God and country and what have you. But I somehow I suspect it's less effective.
Yeah, I would think so. I
You
think
know.
that it's there's no real ritual. It's just,
Yeah.
it's intellectual. It's a more intellectual forgiveness. But,
Right, it's not a specific ritual for that specific thing, right, where the warriors come home and this has been arranged. But the Navajo would be...
They
that
do a
would-
sweat.
that would be
probably
a-
do a sweat for 3 or 4 days.
That's
or
what
a
I'm saying.
week
It could
or
go on
a
for
week.
days. It could be very complex, and it could be very, very specific about a whole lot of things. Yeah, a very cleansing deal.
Right.
Yeah.
All these guys are going to have PTSD from Iraq.
A bunch of them are. Yeah.
Almost all of them, you know, and
Well,
it's just a difficulty in taking your mind off of. You can't do it. You cannot necessarily transition from that environment back to this environment as though that episode never happened.
that's right.
Which is what is expected. The Romans, when the Romans went to Gaul, and they were wherever Gaul is, I guess that's France. But when the Romans went to Gaul, evidently it was just mass murder, you know. So when the Roman soldiers were coming back to Rome, and they were killing the merchants, you know, who they thought were overcharging them, you know. So
Yeah.
Wait a minute, buddy, you know.
Uh-huh.
So they developed farms, and they would take the soldiers back to the farms, and they would work on the farms and raise their food for the army, and talk to other vets, and then kind of just ease their way back into the world.
Well, you may know I've been going through post-traumatic stress disorders myself, and from talking with my counselors, and from looking up a bunch of stuff on the internet and stuff like that, I've learned a lot about it. I didn't know anything about it, you know, and so I started studying up and seeing, and I was advised to do so by my counselor, and so. What I found, what I didn't know was that it actually causes a chemical imbalance, and I didn't know that. They can actually test a person and look at their brain chemistry and see the change that has taken place. And so and I forget what it is that seems like there's
serotonin is one.
There's too much of, I think there's too much of two things and too little of another.
There's too much serotonin is what they do. What they do is, and I've taken the SSRIs, serotonin reuptake inhibitors. That keeps the serotonin circulating, and it. I would say in emergency situations, I don't know. You know, I've been thinking about it for a long time because I've been in like therapy out there. Not now much, but at the beginning, it's been 10 years at least.
And is this irritating for you, for me to bring this subject up?
Oh no.
If it's
I can't hold on to that. I've given up that. You know, I've given it up as being a personal part of my experience, pretty much. I'm sure that there are other things. I don't really feel any real negative effects, except a little bit of difficulty feeling emotion.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the. I don't know if that's particular to PTSD or just part of the Vietnam experience.
I think it was one. Okay, see, mine was quick. It was turned on like overnight, boom. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I mean, but it took a little time from there, yeah, a lot of that was, for instance,
Sleep? No sleep.
For I don't know. I'm going to say for, that's not quite ready yet.
I'll just take a look.
I can tell for, I would say for probably 3 or 4 months, I was averaging something from 2 to 4 hours a night's sleep.
And it wasn't fun sleep.
No,
It wasn't like.
Oh no. That was I might lay in bed for 8 hours trying to get that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then when you went to sleep, you didn't get that probably.
No.
I'd be real surprised.
And so I'll jump. So,
yeah. What do you do for that?
That would make me. Well, I take pills.
Yeah, Clonopin's a good one.
That's exactly what I took before I came here today. That's
Yeah, clonazepam.
That's
a fairly good drug.
That's exactly
not
what.
Not too many side effects.
And well, you know what it does. I mean, a lot of I understand that that's a drug of abuse and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's good with wine.
Yeah, but for me, what it does for me is it makes me back more normal, closer to my average self. I'm able to be around other people without being too annoying to them. You know what I mean? And without grasping
I
my,
have noticed that.
and well, you've not seen it the other way yet.
Oh, it's
But
worse.
it keeps me from clenching my thumbs till they hurt and things like
yeah.
that, and ease off on clenching my teeth.
The SSRIs, I think, I don't like them.
Well, I'm doing one of them.
What, Paxil?
Mm-hmm.
Paxil.
I think that's the one.
I went through some hypnosis that helped me because at some point, you know, I always question my therapist about this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you get, I mean, we might be able to do this, but the chemical thing is a little ways down the cascade of events.
Mm-hmm.
Like the experience causes the chemical change.
Right.
How do you get in there below that chemical change and like reprogram?
Right. Well, that's what I found
So-
out was that post-traumatic stress disorder really depends a lot on how quickly you catch onto it and how quickly you get treatment and stuff like that. If left well, to begin with, it's a month into it before it can even be diagnosed as post-traumatic. See what I mean? As soon as you have, as soon as whatever the traumatic episode is, then you just have traumatic stress disorder. But
Right.
a month or two later, if you're having a problem, then it's post-traumatic stress disorder. You see, and what I found was when it first happened to me, it just happened that I had a doctor's appointment shortly after, maybe the next week or something, and I told my doctor about what had happened, and my doctor said, "Oh, we have therapists and all," and I said, "Shh, I said, well, you know, I'll get over it, you know." And then what happened was I didn't get over it, and it got worse.
Yeah.
And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse till finally I was losing my mind. And going night after night with no sleep will make you really, really crazy. You found that out too?
I went for years. I swear to gosh. I went for years with. I could only sleep under certain conditions and things like that. And
Do you have to lock the door or not?
I was.
I guess it depends. Different people.
Yeah, different people. You know, I was pretty. Came from a pretty really trusting, loving culture when I went there. So my thing was mostly avoidance
Of
avoidance
people.
of people.
Right.
I like to avoid people. I still do that, but I also like people now. You know. And
Well, you see what I do. This is my main social outlet. Is right here. Is the Tea Party.
Yeah.
You know.
I couldn't wait to get up here. You know.
I'm glad you come.
Oh yeah, man.
See,
Okay,
we got you up here one time. Now we got you up. Didn't
now
we?
you can't get rid of it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Well, what I asked for was I realized at some point that I could not cure the PTSD.
Right. See, and I'm coming to grips with that too. To a certain degree, I could, but to a certain degree, I've had to. There are changes I'm going to have to learn to live with. I think it'll be like that.
When I went to hypnosis,
Okay.
what the vision that I wanted to change, because I realized I couldn't get these other visions out of my head necessarily, but it was the suggestions was that tomorrow would be better than today. You know, so we stressed that and we visualized it. You know, we did little visualizations where, what's it called? Future pacing, where you go to a future event and you see yourself as you would react in your normal PTSD freaked out mode, or how you would like to react. Okay, so you visualize that. You visualize it's not a strain, and then you do that like 3 or 4 different times. And if you think that the future, the worst thing about depression is the feeling that nothing's going to change.
I know.
That you're going to be like that forever.
Right, and it's real easy to get that way.
That's kind of part of the definition.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. It's just that's the definition of depression, is feeling that you're in a situation that you can't change and that there's no way out.
Well, I'm saying it's real easy to get that way with PTSD.
It's post-traumatic stress
Disorder. Yeah, but yeah, it's easy to get that. I mean, because boy, it's tenacious. I had no idea. You know what? I mean, you know, before
You want some tea?
I think so. Is it hot? Did it burn you?
No, that's all right. I'm used to pain.
Yeah. Pour me some in here.
Have some.
Mr. Payne. The more pain, the better.
Yeah, the more pain, the better. If we're gonna have a disorder, let's have a disorder.
More. Even more. This is looking good now.
And joy. That was the other.
And pour yourself some more too.
Vision that I wanted. It was that there was going to be joy in my life, and that because what you keep repeating to yourself in a way is what comes to pass. So but you got to have somebody outside of you who also helps. You can't do it on your own. Mm-hmm. Like it takes two people. One person, you can't. It's like meditating is difficult, but if you have someone that's coaching you or anything else, you'll kind of relax and allow them to direct you. And one of the critical things about hypnosis is giving up your critical mind. You have to make an agreement with the hypnotist in the beginning that you're going to give up any kind of thoughts about whether or not this is true or something like that, because that's what we do. We judge things. Well, if you're going into it, you have to be willing, because you're with a therapist for an hour that you trust and like. So it's not a big deal. They're not going to tell you anything you don't want to happen. So you just give up your critical mind. And
that's why you're there.
While you're there, and it adds hope and joy to your life. I mean, it saved my life. I was going down circling the drain, you might say. As far as
I absolutely believe that. Yeah, that's
So there's a great, hypnosis works. I think, especially if you have a.
Do you eat sugar?
Yeah.
Because I was going to recommend that you put a sugar cube in that.
Yeah.
I find that it really brings that to life.
That's true. I forgot
particular.
Plus, how many times you get to do that?
I know it.
I mean, do you take one number two?
One number two.
I believe 3. Yeah, that's an interesting subject, and it's a subject that, as a Vietnam veteran, when I was working in EMS, I came across PTSD in several different forms. People with it, and the children of people. There was a young woman in college that had tried to commit suicide, so we went up there. But she was not trying to commit suicide. Seriously. But I talked to her for a little bit, and I just asked her if her father was a Vietnam veteran. She said, "Yeah, how'd you know?"
And that's something and I can't figure that one out yet. But that's what I hear. I hear living with someone with PSTD, or the child of, or even a nephew that lives in the same house, or things like that they have it too.
I wrote a song about this, and I'll sing it sometime.
And I would have thought that was silly until I've experienced it. I still don't understand it.
Well, who knows? Information passes,
somehow,
in different ways.
Yeah, it does.
From loved ones, and once you see things, it's like that was what happened to me. Once you see things like dead children, or dead old people, or burned out villages, or absolute mayhem and mass rape and piles of bodies, once you see that, you can't not see it.
Right.
It's like you cannot not see that. Right. It's always somewhere back there in the background. It's kind of out of sight, floating around back there somewhere, but it's always there. And
I don't go through a day that I don't play at least part of a movie. I don't try to get a night's sleep that I don't at some point, either in trying to get to sleep or in the process of waking up, or sometime during the night, have it come on, and I'll be in the midst of something, and I'll jump, and that wakes me up. That makes me so mad, because sometimes I'll actually be sleeping, and then I'll jump, and it'll be part of a dream or something, and I'll jump, and that'll wake me up, and then it's hell getting back to sleep.
I went through it, boy. I don't do it now. I'll sleep well. I still take the clonazepam and on a pretty regular basis, because it just lightens my dreams up, for one thing. But because dreams can be, the dreams don't play tricks. They don't pull punches. They punch pretty hard. And So it seems like the clonazepam does make the dreams a little bit less troublesome, or it could be this what is it? It's some sort of mineral that I got that helps in psychic possession, and I put that above my bed, so maybe that's what it is.
Oh, crystal or something, or a
It's
rock?
not a crystal, but it's some kind of rock.
It's a rock. You got your
And
rock.
because I was feeling that
You're
I
one
was
of those
being
rock guys.
No,
hey.
well, you
Hey.
know, I mean, hey,
Hey, if it works,
it didn't
you know,
cost me anything.
you know,
It was given to me by a friend who says this will help. And I said,
a friend brought me some weeds. I don't know, some green stuff. I don't know if it was lavender or something. Told me to put it like under my pillow or something.
aromatherapy.
Something like that, and it would help me sleep. But I think that was helpful too.
Oh, I think so. I think, I mean, we're very crude, I think, in our method of treating stuff. I mean, it's just like the body is just put a serotonin uptake.
You got to carry on while I go get some water.
A monologue.
Yeah, just keep acting like
We need a comedian.
Yeah, no, just
I'll tell a joke. I'll tell a joke. Okay, there was this farmer went to a game show, and maybe it was Jeopardy, and he beat this lawyer from San Diego all to pieces and won $1 million. And Alex Trebek asked him what he's going to do with $1 million. And he said he was going to go, he was an organic farmer, and he said he was going to go home and farm until it was all gone. That was the punchline.
Are you trying to figure out how to make him work?
No.
Okay.
I could. That would have been cute. He could have laughed at my joke.
You squeeze a bump somewhere in this wing. Let me see if I can find some sweetener back.
Boy, that's great tea with that sugar in it. Boy, you're right
That's what I
about
was saying.
that.
That brings it to life, doesn't it? That
Yeah, it
particular
does.
Flavor, the flour flavor of that really comes to life with just a little bit of sweetener to it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's delicious. Well, it's an interesting subject, and it's a subject that I've spent a lot of time on, and it's a subject that we're going to have for a long time to come with these Iraqi veterans, because in a sense, Iraq is a worse environment than Vietnam was, even though there were a lot more people killed in Vietnam. At least it was
So
for
far.
me personally. Yeah, so far. Yeah, exactly. And probably won't be, because I mean, you don't have a massive army that you're fighting like we were fighting. The NBA were disciplined and tough soldiers, but it was such a more friendly environment. It was a beautiful country.
Yeah.
And the people were beautiful and friendly and
Well, that's what I've heard too. Is that the people?
Oh, they were beautiful
very
people.
friendly.
And I'm sure the Arabs are, but they have their culture, and the Buddhists have their culture. You know, the Buddhists are just a very accepting, wide open, and the Vietnamese especially were just a wide open society.
Yeah.
And they were just really welcoming, and if you know, if the situation were not some sort of combat thing, you could wander around and eat, and like I say, it was beautiful and wet. I was there during the monsoon and there during the dry season.
And you even liked the wet season, the monsoon?
Well, it was I liked the wet season. It was interesting.
It looks like that would become depressing.
I've never seen as much water in my life. You know, I've never seen it rain
all day, every day.
all day, every day. You know, it started in about
after day.
man, and then the floods. You know, and everybody was just oh well.
They had the houses up on little sticks, and the flood just came on under it, didn't they?
Right.
Well, I guess after a while you'd learn how to deal with it.
Well, you don't have much choice.
Right.
You know, that was one of the interesting aspects, and the troubling aspects is once you become involved in it, you have no choice unless you have a lot of moral courage to either. And how do you leave Vietnam? You know, you can't leave Vietnam. And who wants to go to the brig?
A lot of people did. A lot of people died. should too, trying and doing it, you know.
The only thing I tried to do was not kill anybody.
Oh,
not
you mean
shoot
how do you
any-
leave Vietnam if you're a soldier
or
there?
if you don't want to take part in the war.
Yeah, right.
You know, we were doing some horrible things, burning, resettlement. That was what we were doing. The unit I was with at part of the time.
Was doing resettlement?
Resettlement, we'd go into a village, and what they called it was denying the enemy supplies. So we'd go into a village, get
Burn their
all
fields.
the people, put them in helicopters, send them to resettlement camps, and burn everything they had.
Uh-huh.
And then wonder why they didn't like us.
Yeah.
You know, surprise, surprise. I think, and it reminded me of this country, this and my people. You know, farm people, and
Right, and they've been farming a crop.
they've been
You,
farming
you understood.
beautiful- back in those beautiful valleys back through there.
You understood farming a crop.
Yeah, it was gorgeous, beautiful little villages, and you go in and burn it down, and they hated our guts, man.
I guess.
Yeah, well, duh. Yeah, who figured out this plan?
Right. Well,
It's not somebody that
I'm gonna say, I
Robert McNamara.
I'll put you some flowers
sugar?
in there. I hope you don't mind.
No, I like flowers.
Okay.
Robert McNamara and Henry Kissinger, two great Americans, thoughtful and big-hearted and kind and compassionate, along with Richard Nixon.
Right.
Jesus.
Well, have you heard about Mr. Bothwell's book about Billy Graham?
Uh-oh. No, what?
Well, he pulled no punches
Who?
on Billy Graham. Cecil Bothwell.
Cecil Bothwell. Who was he? Was he on the Citizens Times at one time?
No, I don't know about that. He was Express.
Express.
He's one of our best reporters in the area, maybe the best. When he was with the Express, and he, but he's no longer with the Express.
After the Billy Graham article.
Yeah, he wrote a whole book, I think, about Billy Graham, and there was a show that aired on our station with an interview with him doing that, talking about that book.
Here?
Yeah, and I
On
was
Tea Time?
No. It was it came on before me one day, I think, and I saw some of it while I was setting up or after my show or something. I was busy and I can only catch pieces of it. It was very interesting, but it involved a lot of things, including his association with presidents and things like that. He was apparently considered for some time to be the pastor to the presidents. And so was apparently.
I think he got led astray. I think he was probably a pretty great man, but I think politics is best
left alone.
Left alone, because it's going to dirty anybody that gets in on it. You know.
Isn't that a shame?
Yeah, because he was probably a good man and he had a good wife,
Mm-hmm.
and but sometimes things get going in a downhill direction and. What is it? There's some kind of if you lay down with dogs, you're liable to get fleas.
Fleas?
And,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And